Hello and welcome to Wide Angle. With apologies, in case you find me clearing my throat in rank bad manners, please excuse me because I do have a sore throat today. The subject is the Afghan elections. We are all riveted on our own elections, but democracy is secure when there is democracy in our neighborhood as well. And on the 5th of April, Sunday, the Afghans went to the polls. What happened and what are the prospects thereafter? We have a very distinguished panel actually. Everyone says that the panel is distinguished, but I can vouch because there is no one who knows the subject better than my friend Vivek Karju. He was ambassador in Kabul when in fact I stayed with you, Vivek, and John Cherian of Frontline, who knows so much about international affairs that I in fact can't challenge anyone else in the city of Delhi who is more conversant with that theme than John is. Now that is sufficient for a build-up for my panel. What has happened? They tell me that it has been 60% polling. How is that possible under the gun?
I think it has been because of the gun. The Afghan wanted to demonstrate quite clearly that he will not be cowed down by threats from any quarters, and that he wanted to exercise his right to vote, to select not only the presidential, not only who will be the president, but also members of the provincial council. Now, I think it's the juxtaposition of both these that has in part contributed to this large percentage, which has been very impressive. But Syed, on one point, you said that democracy is secure only when the democracy in the neighborhood is secure. I would like to respectfully differ. I think Indian democracy is not dependent on
the Wilsonian concept of democracy being secure elsewhere if the plant is nurtured well. Here, you disagree with that?
No, I disagree with the fact with this, because Indian democracy has survived since, not only survived, flourished since 1947, especially since 1951-52.
That's right.
Despite the fact that there have been autocracies and dictatorships all around us. So to juxtapose the strength of of our democracy to democracy in the region, I think is a fallacious concept. Now, having said that, of course, we should welcome democracy, the establishment of democracy in our neighborhood, but it is the nexus that you are trying to draw which leaves me cold.
Right. John, Vivek is very sanguine about the turnout. Are you?
No, I think by Afghan standards, it was indeed a very successful, democratic exercise, also a historic exercise.
Yes.
First time a new president is going to be elected after the 2 terms of Karzai. But also the fact of the matter is that 13% of the polling booths were inoperational. I mean, they could not be opened for various reasons. And the voter turnout in the Taliban-dominated area was absolutely zero. I mean, virtually zero. Most of the voting was done in the urban centers, Kabul, Kandahar. But in the Taliban-dominated cities also, the turnout was very low. So I do not have, slight doubts about the figures being touted out by the Election Commission. But all the same, it has been a successful election by Afghan standards.
How do you see the 2 bodies which were to monitor the elections, the American and the European, had picked up their bags and gone weeks before, when after in fact the Serena Hotel incident, there was a lot of fear. And then there have been speculation that the elections might not be as fair as one would like them to be. How has that been handled, Vivek?
Look, when it comes to the fairness of elections, I always believe that an election has to be credible and has to be acceptable by the people as credible. Obviously, no election is 100% perfect. Why should we forget what happened in Florida not so many years ago?
You're talking about George Bush.
Indeed. I mean, let's not forget that. So, I personally don't put much emphasis on the Afghan election being given a thumbs up by foreign quarters, even though everyone, including we, have exuberantly welcomed these elections. At the end of the day, it is for the Afghan people to say, yes, this election was credible, and importantly, it is for the candidates, the 8 presidential candidates, to feel that the vote reflects the will of the people. Now, obviously, there have been problems. As John has correctly said, in many areas there were no polling booths. In some polling booths, there are reports that the ballot papers ran out. And all this will come forth. I'm personally a little concerned if this starts vitiating the atmosphere,
Right.
because that might have an impact on the future. Because it's my belief.
What do you mean by that? That might have an impact on the future?
In the future, in the sense that I believe that a credible election is vital for the acceptance of the central authority in Afghanistan. And that is vital for contesting and combating the disruptive forces which will, to my mind, inevitably emerge after the election. And that's what I refer to as the Taliban and Taliban Pasand organizations, including their friends who are south of the Durand line. So
You mean Pakistan?
I mean Pakistan. So,
Right.
so let's face it,
Yeah.
that there is going to be a challenge, and therefore, the credibility of this exercise, and I'm using the word credible deliberately, because
Yeah.
that is what is to be
You know,
to
as
be
opposed
assured.
to, you're not a perfectionist, you're looking for a credible election.
Yeah, because I believe that no election
Yeah,
in the
fair
world
enough,
is
fair
perfect.
enough. John, Vivek seems to be suggesting that the elections this year, on the face of it, are more credible than when they were in 2009. Would you go along
Yeah,
with that?
definitely, because the percentage of women who voted and the enthusiasm in which they voted. Then this is the first time that the Afghan security forces were in charge of the security surrounding the elections.
I gather
Last time it was
400,000
yeah.
troops. 400,000
The last
troops.
election, it was Americans, what the Taliban would call the occupation forces, who were
Yes.
in control.
Right.
So I think, yes, definitely, it's a more credible election. And the other point about Abdullah, I think some behind-the-scenes activities are going on. I think Abdullah, I mean, it doesn't make sense for him to become president, he not being a Pashtun and he being a Tajik. And so I think a president will have to be somebody from the majority Pashtun.
Vivek, you seem to be in disagreement on that one.
Look, he's technically Abdullah is a Pashtun. Because Afghanistan is a patriarchal society, and
Right.
Abdullah's father
Yes.
is a Pashtun. Now, the problem is that Abdullah is perceived to be a non-Pashtun, not because his mother was from Panjshir and a Tajik, but because of his close alignment with Ahmad Shah Massoud.
That's it.
And his association on account of that close sort of alignment with the Panjshir Valley, and that is where he draws his power base from.
Right.
Now, it's because of that he is perceived to be a non-Pashtun. Now, the other point is this, that the Pashtuns in Afghanistan feel that they have the right to govern.
Pashtun and Afghan is interchangeable. Afghan means Pashtun, Pashtun means Afghan.
No, but if you look at the Afghan constitution, there is a specific sentence there which says that all Afghans, irrespective of ethnicity, are Afghans and have the right to call themselves Afghans. But the point is that what you are saying reflects Pashtun mentality. Now, the question is whether Afghanistan has today graduated to a situation where the Pashtun will accept a non or a perceived non-Pashtun as the president. Most people feel that that is not so. And therefore, this problem
On Abdullah.
on which John is mentioning about Abdullah. That is why I was there some months ago, and I heard two views in Kabul. One view was, which was articulated, as you mentioned at the beginning of the program, by Abdullah. He said, who said that, look, the election can't be stolen from me because of this perception that I'm not a Pashtun. The other view that was expressed a little quietly was that, are we ready, more of a view expressed in the form of a question, are we ready to have even leave alone a Tajik or a non-Pashtun
Yes.
as president, but even a perceived non-Pashtun,
Which Abdullah is.
which Abdullah is perceived.
Perceived, yeah. Yes.
To my mind, that's a very dicey thing at the moment.
Yes.
I think if you go to the urban centers in the north, in Kabul, in central Afghanistan, their ethnicity is getting a little muted, not entirely, but a little muted. And you hear murmurs that, well, if Afghanistan is a democracy, then whoever wins. But certainly in large swathes of the south and the east, there is this deep conviction that it's only the Pashtun.
As you go to Kabul, you see pictures of Ahmad Shah Massoud, of course, but over the years with Karzai there, we shall continue the discussion